Hi boys, we're going to continue with our next lesson in chapter 7, which deals with radicals. This one is called multiplication of binomials containing radicals. So of course you're still going to see radicals, but I'm going to incorporate something familiar to you that was in a few chapters ago. And this lesson is, I divided it up into two parts, so part 1 today and then part 2 tomorrow. So something that should be familiar to you is how to FOIL. So if you do not remember how to FOIL, this is what you do. First, outer, inner, and last. If you do not know how to FOIL, then this lesson will be extremely difficult for you. So we're going to have a squared. We're going to have negative AB, positive AB, and a negative B squared. Obviously, be sure if you can combine like terms, which you can, those would cancel, and obviously this would be your answer. Now, usually your middle terms don't always have to cancel, but sometimes they do. So pretty much if you know how to FOIL, then you should be able to handle all of my problems that I'm going to be giving you. So let's take a look at this problem. It looks like a FOIL problem. You have two binomials, however, you have numbers in radicals, so no variables. So let's go ahead and FOIL. So you have 6 times 6, 36. 6 times negative radical 11. And if you remember from a few lessons ago, this would be negative 6 radical 11. This is an outside number. There's a 1 right here, so that 1 times the 6 would give you your 6. Your inner would be a positive 6 radical 11. And then your outer would be negative radical 121. So looking at the middle, obviously those are going to cancel. You get 36 minus, well, that's 11. It looks like you're getting a whole number of 25. So this problem was interesting because when you FOILed the problem that contained numbers and radicals, your answer was just a whole number. Let's try another one. Let's look at this one. So let's FOIL this one. 3 times 3, 9. 3 times negative radical 10. There's a 1 here, so it'd be negative 3 radical 10. Inner would be positive 3 radical 10. And it looks like your last would be negative radical 100. So look at your two middle terms. You can combine those, they go away, and you have 9 minus this becomes a 10. Looks like your answer is another whole number. Now, this is not a coincidence. There is something special about these two previous problems that makes them result in having an integer as an answer. So those binomials, this and this, if you look at the difference, the numbers are the same, but you have a plus and you have a minus. So those are called conjugates of each other, is when you have the same numbers, but they only differ in one sign. So if you look at this and this, you have same numbers, but differ in sign. So obviously, if they did not have the same numbers, well, then they're not going to be conjugates, okay? So what's special about them, again, is the fact that if you were to FOIL this problem, you would get an answer of an integer. And I pretty much already gave that away. If A, B, C, and D are all integers, obviously in the problem I just gave you, then the product will always be an integer. So we can actually just do this one. So 5 times 5 would be 25. So it would be negative 5 radical 7. This one would be positive 5 radical 7. This one would be negative radical 49. Those would cancel. 25 minus 7 would be a whopping 18. Okay, so those were conjugates when they had the same numbers but differed in one sign. Now this, obviously, is not a conjugate. If you remember from chapters before, this little 2 just means you're going to rewrite it as 3 plus radical 5 plus 3 radical 5. And looks like I need you to FOIL that problem. So if we do that, we're going to get 9 plus 3 radical 5 plus 3 radical 5 plus radical 25. Now, if you look at the middle actually is not going to cancel now because you don't have opposite signs. So you are allowed, if you remember from another lesson I taught you, you're combining because you have the same radicand. So this radical 5 stays the same, and you're only doing the 3 and the 3 to get your 6. Bring down your 9. This becomes a 5. Keep simplifying. 14 plus 6 radical 5. And obviously, you cannot keep going with this because they both do not have the same radicand. This is a whole number 14, and this is 6 radical 5. And order technically does not matter. Let's do another one. So this one's a little bit more complicated. Same idea. We're going to rewrite it twice. And also, as you can see, this one is going to have a lot of radicals in it. So it's going to get slightly confusing. So let's see here. We do this times this. So you got 2 and 2, which makes 4. Got radical 3, 3, which makes radical 9. We'll simplify this when we're done. Then we're going to do this arrow. So you have 2, 5, negative 10. We have radical 3, radical 7, radical 21. So now let's just erase this. And we'll do the next one. So we have this arrow, so we have this number and this number, which is negative 10. We got radical 7, radical 3, radical 21. Then we have positive 5, 5, which makes 25, radical 7, radical 7, radical 49. All right, so let's see here. This is going to be 4 times 3. This would be 25 times 7. These we can combine, and that would make negative 20, radical 21. And again, the reason for that is because of the same radicand. So let's keep simplifying. So this is going to be 12. And it looks like 25 times 7 is a positive 175. To keep simplifying, 12 and 175 make 187 minus 20, radical 21. And again, order does not matter. So these problems are just going to take patience and something you just need to remember all of the rules of multiplying outside numbers with outside numbers, inside radical numbers with inside radical numbers. And I have one more, which is just a straightforward FOIL problem. So there's no squaring, there's nothing. This is just FOIL. So let's go ahead and try this one. So we have this and this. So we're going to get 6 radical 25. Then we're going to get 2 radical 35. Then we'll get 18 radical 35. Then we'll get negative 6 radical 49. All right, let's simplify the ends. So this is going to be 6 times 5. So it'd be negative 6 times 7. Looks like you can combine those because we have like radicands. So that would be what? Negative 16 radical 35. This is 30 minus 16 radical 35. This is negative 42. So to keep simplifying, you have 30 minus 42, which would be negative 12 minus 16 radical 35. And here is your assignment. It's a worksheet. Good luck, and I will see you guys tomorrow.